Day 14 in the month of October. Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 1 to 35. New Living Translation. It says, "A study of wisdom and foolishness." This chapter of Proverbs contrasts the actions of the wise and the foolish, illustrating the difference in their thinking and behavior. It explores how wisdom builds and enriches lives, while foolishness brings destruction. The teachings in this chapter can be applied to our everyday lives to guide us in making decisions that honor God and lead to fulfillment. Let's break down the verses and reflect on their meanings, with examples to bring these timeless truths into today's context. Verse 1. A wise woman builds her home, but a foolish woman tears it down with her own hands. This verse highlights the power of influence within a household. A wise woman nurtures, encourages, and fosters an environment of love and respect, which strengthens her home. In contrast, a foolish woman, through carelessness, criticism, or neglect, can undermine and destroy the very foundation of her household. Now think of a garden. A gardener who carefully tends to her plants will see them flourish and grow. But if she neglects or uproots the plants, the garden will wither. Similarly, a wise woman carefully nurtures her home, while foolishness brings it to ruin. Verse 2. Those who follow the right path fear the Lord. Those who take the wrong path despise him. To fear the Lord means to have reverence and respect for him, aligning our lives with his commandments. When we choose to follow God's path, it reflects our respect for him. On the other hand, choosing the wrong path shows disregard for God. Consider someone driving with a GPS. The wise driver follows the directions carefully to reach their destination, just as someone who fears the Lord follows his guidance. Ignoring the GPS is like despising the directions and choosing to go the wrong way, leading to being lost. Verse 3. A fool's proud talk becomes a rod that beats him, but the words of the wise keep them safe. Prideful speech often leads to conflict and self-destruction, while the words of the wise bring peace and security. Wise people are careful with their words, knowing the power they hold. Imagine someone who constantly brags at work, speaking with arrogance. Over time, their prideful words alienate coworkers and lead to their downfall. On the other hand, the wise person speaks with humility and earns respect, maintaining good relationships. Verse 4. Without oxen a stable stays clean, but you need a strong ox for a large harvest. This verse reminds us that productivity comes with effort and sometimes mess. If you want a fruitful outcome, there will be work involved. The ox represents a resource for growth, even though it requires care. Running a business can be challenging, with paperwork, long hours, and occasional failures. However, just like an ox in a stable, the effort leads to success, a large harvest. If you avoid the work, you won't reap the benefits. Verse 5. An honest witness does not lie. A false witness breathes lies. Honesty is vital in maintaining trust, while dishonesty breaks down relationships and leads to chaos. A truthful person acts as a stabilizer in society, but a liar brings confusion. Consider a court trial. An honest witness gives clear, truthful evidence that helps justice prevail. A false witness, however, can lead to wrongful convictions and injustice, harming innocent lives. Verse 6. A mocker seeks wisdom and never finds it, but knowledge comes easily to those with understanding. Prideful people mock and scorn wisdom, making it elusive to them. Humble and wise individuals, however, find wisdom easily because they are open to learning and correction. In a classroom, the student who mocks the teacher and refuses to listen struggles to understand the material. In contrast, the humble student who asks questions and seeks guidance finds the lessons much easier to grasp. Verse 7. Stay away from fools, for you won't find knowledge on their lips. This verse is a warning to choose our companions wisely. Foolish people often lead others astray because they lack wisdom and understanding. It's important to seek counsel from those who are wise. If you surround yourself with friends who make reckless decisions, you may find yourself in trouble. However, friends who are wise and thoughtful will guide you in the right direction. Verse 8. The prudent understand where they are going, but fools deceive themselves. Wise people carefully consider their actions and plans, while fools live in self-deception, thinking they are on the right path when they are not. A prudent person sets goals and plans for the future, like saving for retirement or furthering their education. A foolish person may live day to day without any long-term planning, deceiving themselves into thinking everything will magically work out. Verse 9. Fools make fun of guilt, but the godly acknowledge it and seek reconciliation. Fools dismiss their wrongdoings and make light of guilt, but the righteous feel the weight of their mistakes and seek forgiveness and restoration. Imagine someone who never apologizes when they hurt others, dismissing their actions with a laugh. In contrast, a godly person recognizes their mistakes, apologizes, and mends the relationship, reflecting true humility and wisdom. Verse 10. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can fully share its joy. This verse speaks to the uniqueness of personal experiences. Only the individual knows the depth of their pain or the fullness of their joy. Others may empathize, but they cannot fully understand. Think of someone grieving the loss of a loved one. Though friends can comfort them, only that person truly understands their heartache. Likewise, when someone achieves a lifelong dream, their joy is uniquely theirs, even if others celebrate with them. Verse 11. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the godly will flourish. This verse contrasts the outcomes of a life lived in wickedness versus godliness. The house of the wicked, though it may appear strong and stable, will ultimately face destruction. The tent of the godly, which seems fragile, will flourish because it is built on righteousness. Consider two businesses, one built on dishonest practices and the other on integrity. While the dishonest one may see quick gains, it eventually collapses due to legal issues and broken trust. The business built on integrity might grow slower, but it flourishes long-term due to strong foundations of trust and loyalty. Verse 12. There is a path before each person that seems right, but it ends in death. This verse warns against self-deception. People may believe they are on the right path based on their own understanding, but if it's not aligned with God's wisdom, it can lead to ruin. Imagine hiking through a forest without a map. A trail might seem right based on appearances, but without guidance, it could lead to a dangerous cliff. In the same way, following our instincts, without seeking God's direction, can lead to harmful consequences. Verse 13. Laughter can conceal a heavy heart, but when the laughter ends, the grief remains. This verse touches on the reality of hidden pain. People may use laughter and outward happiness to mask inner sorrow, but the unresolved grief remains beneath the surface. Think of a comedian who makes everyone laugh, but behind the scenes, they are struggling with deep depression. Outward joy can hide inward pain, but that grief needs to be addressed and healed. Verse 14. Backsliders get what they deserve. Good people receive their reward. Those who turn away from God and follow their own sinful desires will face consequences, but those who remain faithful will be rewarded in due time. Consider a student who stops attending class and doesn't complete assignments. In the end, they fail the course and face the natural consequences of their decisions. Meanwhile, the student who worked hard and stayed diligent is rewarded with good grades and future opportunities. Verse 15. Only simpletons believe everything they're told. The prudent carefully consider their steps. This verse encourages discernment and critical thinking. Wise people don't blindly accept everything, but weigh their options carefully, while foolish people are easily misled. In today's age of social media, it's easy to encounter misinformation. A simpleton may believe and share everything they read online without verifying the facts. A prudent person, however, does research and critically evaluates information before accepting it as truth. Verse 16. The wise are cautious and avoid danger. Fools plunge ahead with reckless confidence. Wise people proceed with caution and avoid situations that could lead to harm, while foolish people rush in recklessly without considering the consequences. Think of someone who sees warning signs about an unsafe area, but still decides to drive through it recklessly. The wise person, however, takes a detour, even if it's longer, to ensure their safety. Fools ignore danger and often pay the price for their recklessness. Verse 17. Short-tempered people do foolish things, and schemers are hated. This verse highlights the destructive nature of anger and deceit. Quick-tempered people often act impulsively and foolishly, while those who manipulate others through schemes earn hatred. In a heated argument, someone may say or do something they later regret, leading to broken relationships. Meanwhile, a manipulative coworker who schemes against others might achieve temporary success but becomes disliked and distrusted by those around them. Verse 18. Simpletons are clothed with foolishness, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Foolishness is evident in the lives of the simple-minded, while the wise are adorned with knowledge, making them respected and honored. Consider someone who repeatedly makes unwise financial decisions, leading to debt and instability. Their foolishness is apparent to all. On the other hand, a person who manages their finances wisely is seen as knowledgeable and is trusted for their prudent decisions. Verse 19. Evil people will bow before good people. The wicked will bow at the gates of the godly. This verse foretells a reversal of fortunes. Even though the wicked may seem to prosper for a time, ultimately they will be brought low, and the righteous will be honored. Think of historical tyrants who rose to power through cruelty, but were eventually brought down, their legacy of oppression replaced by the triumph of justice and good leadership. Those who stand for righteousness are honored in the end, while evil people face downfall. Verse 20. The poor are despised even by their neighbors, while the rich have many friends. This verse exposes the sad reality of how society often values people based on wealth. The poor may be ignored or looked down upon, while the rich are surrounded by many, though often superficial, friends. A wealthy person might attract many people who want to be part of their life for personal gain. In contrast, a person struggling financially might find themselves isolated, not because they lack character, but because society tends to value wealth over other qualities. Verse 21. It is a sin to belittle one's neighbor. Blessed are those who help the poor. Looking down on others, especially those in need, is wrong in God's eyes. True blessing comes from showing kindness and helping those who are struggling. Imagine two neighbors, one who constantly mocks a family in financial distress and another who offers help by bringing over groceries or providing job leads. The latter neighbor is truly blessed because they have shown compassion and generosity, which God honors. Verse 22. If you plan to do evil, you will be lost. If you plan to do good, you will receive unfailing love and faithfulness. Those who scheme for evil purposes end up lost and facing consequences, but those who make plans to do good experience love and loyalty from both God and others. A person plotting revenge may feel consumed by anger, eventually losing relationships and peace. On the other hand, someone who spends their time planning charitable acts or helping others finds themselves surrounded by love and faithful friends. As we continue in Proverbs 14, we see the ongoing contrasts between wisdom and foolishness, righteousness and wickedness. These verses remind us that our actions and choices not only have immediate consequences, but also shape our future. As we reflect on this wisdom, let's strive to embody the principles of integrity, discernment, and kindness in our daily lives, seeking God guidance to walk the path of life. Verse 23. Work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. This verse emphasizes the importance of action over idle talk. Hard work produces tangible results, while constantly talking about plans without putting them into action leads to lack and poverty. Imagine someone who always talks about starting a business, but never takes the steps to make it happen. Meanwhile, another person quietly works hard, saving money, developing their skills, and eventually launching a successful venture. The latter experiences the fruit of their labor, while the talker remains stuck. Verse 24. Wealth is a crown for the wise. The effort of fools yields only foolishness. Wise people gain wealth through thoughtful decisions and diligence, and it becomes a symbol of their prudence. On the other hand, the foolish person's efforts lead to nothing of value, as they lack the wisdom to use their resources properly. Consider two individuals. One manages their finances wisely, investing and saving, and over time, they accumulate wealth. The other spends recklessly and makes impulsive decisions, ending up in debt. The difference between wisdom and foolishness is clear in their outcomes. Verse 25. A truthful witness saves lives, but a false witness is a traitor. Honesty has the power to protect and preserve life, while lies and deceit can lead to harm and destruction. Telling the truth, especially when it matters most, is a noble act. In a court case, a truthful witness can prevent an innocent person from being wrongfully convicted. However, a false witness, driven by selfish motives, can lead to unjust punishment and the loss of life or liberty. Truth is a shield, while lies betray justice. Verse 26. Those who fear the Lord are secure. He will be a refuge for their children. Reverence for God brings security and protection, not only for ourselves but for our families as well. When we live in the fear of the Lord, we experience His covering, and this blessing extends to our children. A parent who walks in faith and instills godly principles in their home provides a safe environment for their children. Even in tough times, the family is anchored by faith, finding peace and security in God's promises. Verse 27. Fear of the Lord is a life-giving fountain. It offers escape from the snares of death. This verse describes the fear of the Lord as a source of life, offering not only spiritual renewal, but also protection from the dangers that lead to destruction. To fear the Lord is to avoid the traps of sin and death. A person who lives according to godly wisdom avoids dangerous choices, like substance abuse or unhealthy relationships, which can lead to physical and emotional harm. By following God's ways, they find a path that leads to life, both now and eternally. Verse 28. A growing population is a king's glory. A prince without subjects has nothing. A large, thriving population reflects the strength and success of a ruler. Without people to lead, a prince has no real power or influence. This verse speaks to the idea that leadership is valuable only when it serves and nurtures others. A CEO might be praised for leading a large, successful company. However, if no employees or customers remain because of poor leadership, their position becomes meaningless. True leadership is about growing and sustaining the people you serve. Verse 29. People with understanding control their anger. A hot temper shows great foolishness. This verse teaches the wisdom of patience and self-control. Wise individuals are slow to anger and deliberate in their responses, while those with a quick temper often act impulsively, leading to foolish mistakes. In a heated argument, a wise person might take a moment to breathe, think carefully, and respond calmly. A hot-tempered individual, however, might lash out, say hurtful things, and damage relationships in the heat of the moment. Verse 30. A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body. Jealousy is like cancer in the bones. Inner peace promotes health and well-being, while jealousy and envy are corrosive, affecting not just the spirit but the body as well. Emotional and spiritual health has a direct impact on our physical well-being. A person who is content and at peace sleeps well, maintains lower stress levels, and experiences better health. In contrast, someone consumed by envy may suffer from sleeplessness, anxiety, and even physical ailments, as their negative emotions take a toll on their body. Verse 31. Those who oppress the poor insult their Maker, but helping the poor honors Him. God is deeply concerned with how we treat the poor and vulnerable. Oppressing them is an insult to God, who created them, but offering help and kindness is a way of honoring Him. Imagine a wealthy person who exploits their employees, paying them unfair wages. This behavior shows disrespect for God's creation. Meanwhile, another person who offers resources and support to those in need reflects God's love and honors Him by their actions. Verse 31. The wicked are crushed by disaster, but the godly have a refuge when they die. In times of trouble, the wicked are overwhelmed, having no solid foundation to stand on. However, the righteous have hope. Even in death, because their trust is in God, who is their refuge and strength. During a financial crisis, someone who has built their life on selfish gain may be completely devastated when their wealth disappears. In contrast, a godly person, though they may experience loss, remains hopeful because their trust is in God, not in material wealth. Verse 33. Wisdom is enshrined in an understanding heart. Wisdom is not found among fools. This verse highlights that wisdom resides in the hearts of those who seek understanding. Fools, however, lack the capacity for wisdom because they are not willing to learn or grow. A person who seeks to learn, who is open to correction, and who values knowledge will accumulate wisdom over time. In contrast, someone who believes they already know everything will never gain true wisdom because they refuse to listen or consider others' perspectives. Verse 34. Godliness makes a nation great, but sin is a disgrace to any people. This verse stresses that the moral character of a nation plays a significant role in its success. A nation that upholds godliness and righteousness will flourish, while sin and moral decay bring shame and destruction. Consider a country known for its justice, fairness, and care for the poor. It earns respect and honor on the world stage. On the other hand, a nation plagued by corruption, crime, and immorality is often seen with disgrace, and its downfall becomes inevitable. Verse 34. A king rejoices in wise servants, but is angry with those who disgrace him. Wise and trustworthy servants bring joy to their leaders, because they contribute to the success of the kingdom. However, those who act disgracefully anger the ruler, because they bring shame and undermine authority. In a company, an employee who consistently performs well, is responsible, and acts with integrity brings pride to their boss. On the other hand, an employee who is dishonest or incompetent not only hinders the business but also frustrates and angers the leadership. In Proverbs 14, we see repeated contrasts between wisdom and foolishness, righteousness and wickedness. This chapter teaches us that wisdom is life-giving, brings honor, and leads to peace, while foolishness results in destruction, shame, and death. It calls us to walk in integrity, to be diligent, and to act with compassion, particularly toward the poor and vulnerable. When we live in the fear of the Lord, we find security and hope, not only in this life but also in the life to come. As you reflect on these verses, consider how you can apply the wisdom of Proverbs 14 to your everyday life. Let these truths guide your actions and decisions as you seek to live a life that honors God. May the good Lord bless His word in our hearts and help us to be doers of His word. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Kindly subscribe and turn on post notification for more prayers and Bible reading. God bless you.